Sri Lanka has the second largest number of recorded cases of forced disappearances. More than 12,000 people are missing after two Marxist conflicts and a 26-year civil war. Rights groups believe many of them are in mass graves and say the state is unable or unwilling to deliver justice to the victims. Minelle Fernandez reports.
Desperate for answers about her son who has been missing for more than 3 decades.
They took him from home around 10 p.m., saying they needed to get some information. Until today, there has been no news of him. It's been 33 years. It happened on the 7th of November, 1989, around 10 p.m. My son was sleeping. He was just 17 years old.
Now, local and international rights groups have released a report called Mass Graves, Failed Exhumations, which looks at how justice has been denied to thousands of victims of Sri Lanka's violent past.
Perhaps the most important factor negatively impacting exhumation so far is the political interference. Our legal and policy framework is inadequate. We have also seen the exhumation sites are not always well protected.
Rights groups have been helping families of victims of forced disappearances. When skeletons were found during construction work here at the Matale Government Hospital, Aryavati and hundreds like her thought they may finally find answers. 155 skeletons were recovered, some with bullet wounds and other injuries.
I have informed that to the courts regarding that there are features of scene of crime in this site.
Local experts estimated the remains were from the country's second Marxist insurgency in the late 80s. But the case was closed after carbon dating said they were from much earlier. More than 350 skeletons were unearthed at this mass grave site in Mannar in the northwest of the country. Activists believe it contains the remains of people killed during the war between the military and Tamil Tiger separatists. The delay in identifying the remains has been extremely frustrating for families.
It's justice that we are asking for. We don't want compensation. How can you compensate for the loss of our loved ones?
The Sri Lankan government did not respond to Al Jazeera's request for a comment on the report. But in an interview on French television, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said any allegation regarding mass graves can be taken to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which is about to be set up. Critics say the contents of the report are a sad indictment of a state that should be ensuring justice for its citizens. But according to authors, there's no political will to do that, a fact that will bring no comfort to families waiting for answers. Minelle Fernandez, Al Jazeera, Colombo.
Pakiathothi Saravanamuthu is the founder and executive director of the Centre for Policy Alternatives in Sri Lanka, and he's with us live from Colombo. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. The report apparently says that Sri Lankan governments, successive governments, have been unable or unwilling to help. Which do you think it is?
Well, I think it is an unwillingness, actually. Sure. They are unable to help because there are political reasons that make them unable to do so in terms of a backlash and all of that. But I think, with sufficient political commitment within the framework of a policy of reconciliation, which we've been badly lacking since the end of the war, I think it can be done, because we are talking here about mass graves that are dating back to the second JVP insurgency in 88-89, as well as a consequence of the civil war, which went on for almost 30 years. So I think, the issue here is some leading politician coming up and saying that, look, we need to lay this to rest.
Why would Sri Lankan governments not investigate mass graves? What would be the discouragement for them?
Well, I think they fear the complicity of their colleagues. During the Rajapaksa era, there were various allegations made against the Rajapaksas and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa himself. I mean, with regard to the Matale graves, there's an allegation now that he suppressed information, etc. So it's the political class of this country which have been involved in either counter-terror operations or involved on behalf of the government in fighting the war against the LTTE. They are obviously extremely reticent of exposing, at the end of the day, the complicity of the ruling class, as it were.
What would it mean to the relatives of missing people if an investigation was carried out and some traces of the bodies of the victims were found?
Well, I was the secretary of a consultative task force that went out to ask people what they thought of the various transitional justice mechanisms. And basically, the point, both in the North and in the South and in the East and West throughout the country, was we want the truth. And we want an acknowledgement of the state as far as that truth is concerned. So it would be a major boon to them in terms of bringing closure.
One of the interviewees that we heard in Minelle Fernandez's report earlier on said that they weren't looking for compensation. They just wanted to have some sort of closure for this. Is there also a concern, perhaps, amongst the government that to bring about that closure, there has to be a degree of accountability, and that is the underlying blockage, if you like, that's stopping any possible investigation from being carried out?
Absolutely. Accountability is the key, and it's the one thing that has been cast aside, ignored. When the former foreign minister, the late Mangala Samaravira, went to Geneva and announced that we were going to bring these 4 mechanisms for transitional justice. The last one was accountability, and we said that we would have foreign judges and prosecutors. Immediately, as he said that, there was a storm of protests, including the president and the prime minister, who made the point that we are not going to turn our war heroes into war criminals, and we will not allow foreign judges to do this. So it's that hysteria in terms of doing anything to hold anyone accountable, a culture of impunity in the Sri Lankan context, not just with regard to war crimes and allegations of war crimes and mass graves and all of that, is really quite institutionalized at the present moment.
Bhakia Sothi Saravanamutu, we appreciate you being with us on Al Jazeera, sir. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.